Hey guys, this is Annie with Southtown Realty. It is the third Thursday, which means I interview somebody related to home buying, selling, or occupying. Tonight I have on Dave Frederickson. Dave is a legend. He is like the GOAT in real estate in Salt Lake City. This is Dave Frederickson. He is the principal broker at Keller Williams Salt Lake City and has been a licensed real estate agent for 30 years, 35 years, Dave?
40?
Something 40 for 40 years. Um, what year were you licensed?
1984.
84. I was born in
Thanks.
83.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
Um,
so January of 1984. So I just got my 40-year pin.
amazing. So yeah, this guy is the GOAT, and is a wealth of information. And I was saying earlier that literally the reason that I've stayed at Keller Williams is because of you and your mentorship. And I don't think that that's something that a lot of realtors get to experience. I think the more normal thing is that you work at a brokerage and you never see or talk to your broker ever, and so that you don't get that information and support and mentorship. So just to start it off by saying thank you for that.
I appreciate that. And it's people like you, Annie, that I have the conversations with that make this job one that I continue in with.
Awesome.
So,
So I want to hear the story. A term that you have coined in my life is everybody fails into real estate. So I don't know if I know your fail into real estate story.
um, I used to teach at the real estate schools and uh, post getting my license, but the owner of the real estate school one time told me that you had to look at these students differently, because not very many people grow up thinking, gee, I want to be a real estate agent. Most of them had a plan. They were going to be a pilot, or they were going to be a doctor. And it did not work out. And so he looks at me and he says, so you kind of have to look at all these people as failures. And that just really kind of bothered me, but it's kind of the truth. I mean, I was a national rep for a sporting goods manufacturer, and there were some things that caused me to look elsewhere. I found what I thought was the other job. And on January 4th, 1984, I demanded all kinds of things from my previous job and was met with laughter. So that job was over with. And shortly after that, the new job called up and said there had been a mistake, so there was no job open. And so for the first time, I was unemployed. And I ran into some friends at a gathering hole, and one of them said, why don't you get into real estate? And I said, I don't have the time or the money. And we worked it out from there. So yeah, literally I lost my job and failed into real estate. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love, I just taught a class at the other Keller Williams office the other day and used that term, was asking people how they all failed into real estate, because I think it's hilarious, because it's so true. Unless you're, the nepotism of like like some people in our office, maybe like, the parent was the realtor and then brought up the kid in that business. But yeah, so I said before you logged on here that you had also sold knives and vacuums, which I thought was true, but now I'm doubting myself. Is that true?
Um, I gave away knives in the selling of vacuums. That was how we got indoors. I was out selling a new Kirby Classic 3 vacuum for 20 minutes time. We'll give you a 2-piece knife set. So yeah, uh, that was the door opener. But yeah, vacuum cleaners, sporting goods, skis, furniture, yeah, selling,
A
selling.
true salesman at heart. So when you got started in real estate, were you in residential or commercial? What was your kind of niche?
Residential with a focus probably on new construction. Um, yeah, yeah, and I have to go back and say, you're talking about sales, and then you talk about real estate, and to me, real estate is not sales. Um, Selling knives, selling vacuums, selling sporting goods, those are all sales. Those are manipulative type. Do you want it? Would you use it? Do you need it? That type of thing. Real estate, once I got in, I thought I was getting in, as most real estate agents do, getting in to sell something with a bigger ticket. and bigger commissions and all that type of thing. What I found when I got in is sales skills that you might use in any other sales field will possibly allow your client to open up with you if you can have good questioning skills and things like that. But I can't sell somebody a house if they don't want to buy it. I can sell them a vacuum cleaner if they don't, even if they don't want to buy it. So a salesperson job, quote unquote, in real estate is more customer service oriented, where you're finding needs on one side and finding needs on the other side and matching the two up and working out the details. So it's not really a sales job as much as it is a customer service type mentality.
Was there sort of a moment that you realized that, or was it kind of more of an ongoing realization?
My first listing, I found out that I got my first listing probably about 20 minutes after I found out that I got my license. And we went all the way to the closing table, and my client asked me where he's supposed to disclose that he's a licensee. And I said, well, yeah, all the way along, you're supposed to disclose that you're a licensee. But if you're a licensee, why did you work with me? And he said, to be perfectly honest with you, I felt sorry for you. And so at that point in time, I decided, A, I didn't know what I didn't know. And B, most buyers and sellers don't know what they don't know. And so I just leaned on some people, how do you do this and why do you do that? And I asked a lot of questions of my buyers and sellers, and that's just what I came up with. Hey, I've got a buyer over here that needs this and this and this, and hey, I've got a seller over here that needs this and this and this, and matching the two up. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not a sales skill thing. If anything, it's more customer service and negotiations than it is sales.
One of my favorite stories of yours is the one where you were showing houses and your client said, "Oh, we really like that house over there. Do you want to tell that story so we can have it on the record?"
The name of the street was Quicksilver, just to let you know. But the buyers actually told me all of the needs they had. We went out looking at properties that meets their basic criteria, and we weren't finding anything that they actually liked. And as we were driving out of one subdivision away from a house that had just not passed their scrutiny, they said, that's the kind of house. And she pointed out one that we were driving by, and she goes, that's the kind of house that I'd like. And I go, do you want to look at it? And she goes, well, there's no sign. I go, yeah, but did you want to look at it? And she goes, well, it's not for sale. I said, how do you know? and she just started laughing, and I pulled over and I went and knocked on the door, and I said, my name's Dave Frederickson, and I apologize. This is really a silly question, but I've got some people in my car. We're out looking at houses, and they absolutely love your house. Would you consider selling it? Hmm. And they said, well, actually, yeah, we were just talking about it. And so, yeah, you don't know until you ask, and it might be a little obnoxious, but we sold the house, and they were absolutely happy. But yeah, no, it wasn't on the market, and you need to step outside your comfort zone, and you need to, but at the end of the day, if your buyer says that's the house, then why not see if the sellers agree?
I just think it's like such a good life lesson for so many different things. You don't, like, another term coined by you don't know what you don't know. You don't know if you don't ask. You don't get anything if you don't try. And I just think that story can relate to so many different things in life to, help us grow as people. And you don't know until you ask. I love that.
There's so many agents that get into real estate, and that's, and again, I've been doing it for 40 years. And when I say that, that's not like a badge of courage. It's like, I literally learn something new from every real estate agent that just gets into the business, because they are coming in with a fresh set of ideas and thoughts that haven't been proven wrong yet. Mm-hmm. And right now, a lot of people, have their built-in that won't work because of, mm-hmm. until somebody comes in and does it, and then you go, oh,
yeah,
my bad.
I also love the industry because everybody fails into real estate. You end up being surrounded by people that have such a vast array of experience, like people that have served in the military or worked in corporate or worked as lawyers or worked as mountain guides or whatever they've done. You end up being surrounded by like a wildly diverse crew of people. So I can imagine over 40 years learning so much from those people just based on that.
There are, in every company, I've said this also, and I don't do anything unless it's fun. And real estate is fun. It's the funnest, highest paying job you can get, or it's the funnest, lowest paying job you can get.
Fair.
Either way, it's a fun job. What makes it fun is the people around and the diverse backgrounds and everything else. I like to pride myself in saying Keller Williams Salt Lake or any of the other companies that I've actually worked with, I surrounded myself with a good group of people that are having fun and making money, and they're willing to open their minds, their experiences and everything else to allow the person that just enters the group to have fun and make money. And I've been in some offices where walking into the office is like walking into a dentist's office. You walk in and they close their door and they're in their private office and they come out at lunch or whatever. That makes a long day.
Yeah.
And so people like yourself that bring life into the office, that are willing to share, that are willing to do some fun things, taking time out of your day to make it a good reception area for everyone else, makes it so I'll be here for another several. I just
Yeah, fair enough. I realized that I sent you a list of questions, but I'm like totally not going on those questions. But you have the gift of gab, so I think that you can handle it. But what has been sort of like your progression in real estate? So you were unemployed, you got your license, and then since then you've done a lot with it. You did property management, you're a broker now. But A, I don't know how long you've been a broker, and B, I don't really know what your kind of progression in real estate was, how you kind of grew yourself, your business, and everything within that.
I actually
So.
don't know how it happened either. Just saying. Um, Again, I got my real estate license, and I went to work with a company that, I don't know, had a dozen agents or so, and I sold a house to the manager of the 7-Eleven right next door to us, and a lot of the agents that were there, again, there were about a dozen agents, they're like giving him crap because why'd you buy it from the new guy? We're over here every day, and he said, well, because he asked me. And so, like I said before, I took the experience of what that 7-Eleven manager made, and I started going and starting that same conversation with other 7-Eleven managers in other locations, knowing what they needed to, what the parameters were they had to live and how many minutes from the store and how much they made and all that kind of stuff. And I went on a little streak selling 7-Eleven managers homes. About 7 or 8 months after I was licensed and I had that experience, the broker of that company asked me if I would be sales manager. And so I became sales manager about a year after I got licensed, and I maintained that role. We opened up another office, and then we had two offices and about 50, 60 people each. I developed a training program for those, and by the time I was in the real estate industry for 3 years, which is the minimum requirement for a broker, I took that test and then became a broker. About 10 years into it, I opened up my own, and we kind of went wide. We had a good group of real estate agents selling real estate, heavy into new construction. We represented, I don't know, 10 or 15 different smaller builders, and then we brought D.R. Horton into town. And so we had, a pretty good group of new construction people. We got into property management, which led us into association management, which led us into property maintenance, which led us into being embezzled. Then it became no fun. And so we closed that all down, and I jumped over to RE/MAX. Somewhere along the line, I got involved with the board of realtors in the professional standards part of things. I like dealing with professionals, and I wanted to help clean up our industry. And so from there, it took me into leadership in the Realtor organization. I chaired professional standards. I've chaired grievance. I was elected to the board of directors. I was president of Salt Lake Board of Realtors. I was on the UAR board of directors. I was on the National Association board of directors. My background has been focused pretty much on professional standards, and that led me into doing expert witness type things in courts. So attorneys call me and ask me to do a forensic review of what real estate agents do and whether or not a member of the public received what services should be expected from a real estate professional. And that took me down a rabbit hole, though I'm a mediator and I sit on arbitration panels and things like that. But at the end of the day, we've got an extremely good group that are real estate agents that get a bad rap in the public eyes because they don't know exactly what it is we do.
Yeah.
And admittedly, there are some people that do it less than I would like them to do, and they're the ones that get noticed by the world,
Yeah.
which makes us all bad. So my little gig is working with people like yourself and all of the ones at KW to make good real estate agents and in it for the right reasons and try to clean up my little corner of the
Yeah.
world.
Oh, it's an impressive that you can even spittle all that out, all the things that you've done before. And I think that that's part of it for me, working at Keller Williams is the expert testimony thing. I'm just like, I don't understand why somebody would work under a brokerage with a broker that, you only have to be licensed for 3 years, right? Like I've taken the broker course. I could be a broker right now. I've been in for 8 years. But I would almost not recommend anybody work under me at this point when there's the option to work under somebody who has, the breadth of experience that you do. And it's such an asset, I think, to Keller Williams. So we have a team meeting every week, and Dave says something every week, and a lot of times it's about court cases. And so you're sitting in there learning about what's going on, the litigations and all the different things from the person who was in the court, not just somebody who read the newspaper. So it's so cool to be able to learn from all of your experience in doing all of that. I love
Well,
that.
and again, Andy, just I will tell you this. I just saw Paul Wilden come on here. And Kyler. I mean, hey guys, uh, you know, it's something different. To be perfectly honest with you, and this is me patting myself on my own back. I'm a much better broker than I was a real estate agent. I am absolutely amazed at the real estate agents and the ones that do it correctly and the ones that do it right. I know the rules. I know what we're supposed to be doing, and I can see people that do it and people that don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just as soon be on the team of the people that do it and do it right as some of the people who have come on here that are good friends and that same life experience. It's frustrating to me when somebody gets their real estate license and comes in, and because of their technological expertise can bruise so many people in a short amount of time and then leave the business
Yeah.
and leave
Yeah.
us with the pain.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a much better broker because I am involved in the cleanup. I am absolutely astonished at how well people like yourself, people like the Josh Stearns, people like can take this and keep the needs and desires of a buyer and seller in the forefront of their mind and their actions, and then multiply it 150
Yeah.
times. That's just absolutely. I mean, I had some good personal production years. It wasn't even tax on what some of these guys are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in a listing appointment today. This is me patting my own self on the back, probably in that regard. But I went to a listing appointment, and this guy had already interviewed several agents and called people. And he said, some of these people didn't get back to me for 2 or 3 days, he's like, but of the people that I interviewed. So we're sitting there talking, and I'm talking about pricing and in this market, how I like to price really conservatively, because it is kind of a interesting market right now. And he said something along the lines of like, yeah, I mean, I know that in pricing, you're probably thinking about your own commission and da da da. And it was such, it was like such a foreign concept to me. I was like, what do you mean? Oh, no, that's actually not even like remotely part, like I'm making 3% of whatever we sell it for, whatever your net is, not even your gross, like, and that's like literally, and it sounds so cliche to a seller to be like, no, 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 I'm actually not thinking about that at all. And I'm like, I don't even know how to convey that. I don't even know how to convey that. That's not even remotely a part of my thinking in all of
I,
this. Like I could care less if you sell it for $150,000. Like I'm here to help you sell it. That's what your goal is.
I
Like,
think you've heard me say before, and again, I work with a lot of um, income challenged people. I've worked with a nonprofit working affordable housing for years and years and years and years and years. And every one of those transactions, I've done less than what the normal commission would be. And I also have the caveat that my commissions never stood in the way of a transaction,
mhm,
and it never will be. If you keep the buyer and seller on the forefront, I mean, I am here as a service. I'm not here as a sales. I'm here as a service. And if I'm contacting a buyer or contact a seller, if I can tell them up front that I can help them in whatever their desire for real estate is, and I'm truthful with them and all this, the commission conversations never come up.
mhm,
I charge what I charge because that's my business model, and here's what I need to do to cover my costs and make a fair thing. But my commissions never stood in the way of a transaction. And I've done many, many transactions where the buyer just could not come up with any more money and the seller didn't have it.
mhm.
But what we do in real estate is we create generational wealth. And these folks may have been the first time anyone in their family has ever owned real estate.
Yeah.
But that legacy will go on for years and years and years, and karma will come back, and that's all. Uh, Again, and back to the knowledge part of things, Annie. I've also, I don't know where I start quoting myself, but I stole this from somebody. But people don't care how much you know; they want to know how much you care.
Mm.
And I can spout laws and rules and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't tell anybody what my intent is. And my intent is to help you with your real estate needs. Tell me what those needs are, and let me tell you if I can help.
Yeah.
And if you keep your eye on helping the others reach theirs, the paychecks will follow. And a lot of agents make the mistake of getting in the business, and they're so focused on the paychecks, the service that they're supposed to provide is lacking.
Mhm.
And you need to turn that around. You need to focus on the service. The money will follow.
One of the things that I ask in these new age, I love teaching, and I love teaching these new agent classes. That so far I've done three, like meeting with the buyers, like what does the buyer meeting look like or whatever. And one of the things I ask people when it comes to, we talk about having your value proposition, right? Like why you think that you're going to be the best bet for them. I go, you got your license for some kind of reason. You must have thought you would be good at it, right? Right? Like, yet nobody was like, oh, you know what I would really suck at? Real estate. I'm going to get my license. I'm like, you must
Exactly.
have thought you'd be good at it for some reason. And I like approaching it from that way because people might say, why did you get your license? And then people are inclined to say, because I need to pay my mortgage, because I got to, send my kids to school. I got to do this thing. It's like, yeah, of course. It's like, of course, we all need to make money. But like, I like approaching it from the perspective of like, did you think you'd be any good at it? And they always go, yeah, of course. And you go, okay, why? Why did you think you'd be good at it? And I think it like leads people into a thought process of being like, yeah, why did I think I would be any good at this thing? And then they can really decide like where they're coming from. Because anybody's going to say money. We like everybody's got a bill to pay.
As I
Um,
said earlier, and my first listing, I thought that I nailed it. I mean, I went in there and I've been licensed for all of 20 minutes, and I told him all the reasons he should work with me, And I walked out with a listing agreement. And then at the settlement, when I found out he was licensed and he told me that he felt bad for me, I mean, that was absolutely, oh my gosh, I suck at this, and I don't like feeling that way.
Yeah.
And so, and trying to make it fun. I mean, a lot of agents and a lot of people that come on here, they will set their goals based around money. We're always suggesting that they set their goals around what the money's going to do for them, about a life thing. And
Yeah.
whether it's going out on a sailboat someplace, or whether it's going out to buy another rental property. I think I just saw Brooke on here, so he's going to pick up a few Las Vegas Airbnbs. But you need to picture in your own mind what that thing is that's making you go through all of the work. And that's the same conversation we're supposed to be having with our clients. It's not fun to go and look at houses. It's not fun to go and sit with the lender and have them give you a scope of your financial, whatever. It's not fun to, open your house up to strangers at every given moment. So what exactly is it that's forcing you or prompting you to go through this thing? And it has to be so compelling to put you through it. Intimate with me what that thing is, and as long as you can help them transition that thing, their one thing, the one thing that is forcing them to put themselves in this miserable position, is the thing that's going to make it a win transaction for you. And you can keep focused on their end. Again, as soon as you help them, you'll get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I feel like I could talk to you for 3 hours on here, but I want to finish up with your advice for somebody who might be thinking about getting their real estate license. Advice from the perspective of like, should they, and if they do, then where would you start with it?
Um, well, exactly that. Again, there are some great salesmen that get into the business and are not necessarily successful selling real estate. There are some nurses that get into real estate and knock it out of the park. And it totally comes, in my opinion, from your ability to actually um, uh, be empathetic to a buyer and or seller's needs, and really focus on doing that. You've got to, um, buyers and sellers have in the Salt Lake Valley 10,000
Yeah.
options. They've got over 10,000 real estate agents here in the Salt Lake Valley. Why you?
Yeah.
And you know, my expertise on searching properties only goes so far. And the fact that I've got a big back seat only goes so far. And so you need to package, as you said, your value proposition. Why you? And until you can answer that question, you're never going to be able to adequately have a buyer and or seller um, answer for you. Why you?
Yeah.
And I'm a caring person. I follow through. I return phone calls. I get along with other agents. All of those, in my opinion, attributes are equally as important as I can log into the MLS and I can search properties with the best of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, focus on your client, and if you can do that, if you're coming from a customer service, um, the first year or two in real estate are not necessarily the most pleasant. Come in with a realistic expectation. Most people get into real estate because they want to be their own boss. They want more control of their hours. They want unlimited income. They want more time to spend with their family. And that's straight from the recruiting brochures, because it's not reality. When you get in, everyone is your boss. You have to schedule time with your family. The income sucks. And so, you know, come in with a clear expectation, with the right focus on why you're doing it, and treat it like a real job. I mean, agents come in, and again, I realize I'm rambling on here, but you want to be your own boss, and you've probably had experience being someone else's employee.
Mm-hmm.
And that relationship obviously ended because you are now getting into real estate. Well, your boss probably found out that you suck as an employee, and now you're in real estate, you are the employee and you are the boss.
Yeah.
You have to look at yourself, have an out of body experience, and say, if this was another person, would I keep them
Yeah.
around? And that's kind of, be realistic on what you were doing. Don't give your boss excuses on why you're not working. Put somebody else's needs, wants, desires, goals ahead of your own, and welcome to real estate.
That is perfectly said. That is so accurate. I had a little thing above my desk for years that said, would you hire you or fire you?
Mm-hmm.
Because I managed people for a long time, and there have been so many days where I'm like, let's do a little performance review here,
Mm-hmm.
hon. Like, you're out of here. You better clean it up next week or you're gone.
Accountability starts with yourself. You can get an accountability partner, but the partner's not around.
Yeah.
When you're supposed to be doing some things you're supposed to be doing. I've got, and I've said this before, and I'll end on this. I've got a little thing on my speedometer in every vehicle I've had since my kids were young, and it basically said, "What will I tell them about today?" Because I'm not going to lie to my kids. And when I would come home and they'd say, "How was work?" If I spent the afternoon at Farmer's Daughter, they would be cool with it. Linda would be cool with it. But if I was every single day spending there, what am I going to tell them about today?
Yeah.
And, hold yourself accountable that way. So.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining my little program on here. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. Like I said, I feel like I could chat with you for hours, but we should wrap it up. But yeah, really appreciate all your insight, perspective, all the things.
Appreciate you bringing it, and see you in the office.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
See you guys.